Stellar XLM and Paxos have a $700 trillion vision. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, just today, a few hours ago, Denell Dixon, and the CEO of Paxos, Chad Cascarilla, were talking about the importance of regulation for stablecoins, and that actually, when we look at this, they are the only ones that are regulated bar Gemini. Not even USDC, not even USDT, not regulated the same way Paxos is. Chad goes on, but he talks about how he was in the Bitcoin scene in the early days, back in 2010, 2011, when it was only like 40 cents per Bitcoin, right? And you was able to mine Bitcoin with your CPU. There you go. That's very early. But really, you need to listen to Denell Dixon and Chad and see why regulation actually is so important. And actually, we need to think about $700 trillion worth of assets, derivatives. Well, I dispute that. I believe it's around 1.5 quadrillion. And really, it doesn't matter what the figure is at this point, but nobody can really know what the actual value is, because it moves up and down all the time, okay? As the markets move up and down too frequently, all right? One morning, you know, your pound might be worth $1.5. It might be worth $2 the next morning. It's not going to fluctuate that quick, but that might be just around the corner. However, let's listen to Denell Dixon, and Chad talking about this and the importance of regulation. Take it away, Denell and Chad.
Setting up the Pax dollar, you really focused on trying to eliminate as many as you could. So, and I love that you did this so early. I mean, you guys approached, if I'm right on the date, like in 2015, with respect to getting the digital assets charter and focusing on what you wanted to do with the New York DFS, which is very, very early days.
Yeah, specifically, our view has been, regulation is a very valuable tool in terms of being able to create trust, and having broad trust can create mainstream adoption and societal-wide impact and outcomes. And it's hard to do that if you can't be trusted. There's lots of ways to create trust, not just by having regulation. And clearly regulation will absolutely slow you down. There's no doubt about that. That is just a fact of it. But I think it allows you to ultimately have a much bigger impact. And if you build regulation into your business model from the beginning, then you're setting yourself up to have built the right muscle and the right structures about how you need to solve problems. And ultimately, that's what a company is trying to do, is solve. How do you solve problems in a way that's replicable? And as an infrastructure company, where mainly institutions use us, we power PayPal and Venmo, Interactive Brokers, Mercado Libre, Nubank. We also work with other large financial services companies, Bank of America, Credit Suisse, SocGen. So lots of different types of firms use us. And I think that's because if you set things up the right way, you can be an enabler of all of these firms. And they all have huge number of customers and a huge amount of financial assets already inside of them. They have the customer. They need to be able to offer the customer a new product. What we're trying to do is hold our customer assets and put them on a blockchain. And if you hold them fully bankruptcy remote, fully segregated, even if something happens to Paxos, your assets are still safe. And so what happens is, if someone sends us $1, we go buy a T-bill or overnight repo, or we hold it in a bank account so that we can manage withdrawals and deposits. But we take that dollar and we put it on a blockchain, and it's overseen by our regulator. So they oversee Paxos, they oversee how we create the product. And so it's a regulated dollar token. And to be clear, there's nobody else who has this regulated dollar token. Aside from Gemini, they have a dollar, but no one else has that. Circles is not a regulated dollar token. There's no primary regulator. That's not the case for Tether either. If Paxos fails, all of our client assets are bankruptcy remote and fully segregated. That's not true for Circle or for anybody else. That's not a knock on them. It's just to be clear about the differentiation, because it really is a regulated dollar.
Okay, that's great, Chad. That's great, Donnell. So it's clear Paxos is the regulated dollar with Gemini, but we really need to pay attention. You and I need to pay attention to what the vision is of Paxos and where they think they're going. Are we going to see Paxos on the Stellar network, and is that going to be pushed to the forefront? So we're working with regulators, not against. Back to you, Chad and Donnell.
They'll want to trade this asset class, and as they get familiar with it, then you can start to add in other types of assets that weren't just Bitcoin, but they would be real assets. There was really no concept that there would be ICOs or NFTs or anything like, it was such early days. There wasn't even a concept of Ethereum. To bring that back to Itbit and Paxos, we started the company deliberately with the idea that you would use this technology to re-platform the financial system over time. And that's why we went out and created a trust company in the state of New York. And we were first approved in basically May of 2015. Now, it took us 3 years to create the trust. So we started working on that in 2012, believe it or not, and we started maybe even doing research a little before then. It was a 1,000-page double-sided application. And the whole point of going through all that brain damage wasn't because we were just going to enable crypto trading. The idea was that you're going to enable crypto trading and all kinds of other things, and really all kinds of other assets. And even today, that is still one of the most exciting things about this whole experiment in crypto and blockchain. How can you take the $700 trillion of assets that exist in the world and allow them to move at the speed of the internet? And it should be very simple for that to happen, because, by the way, almost all financial information is just like your email. It's already digitized. But there's two problems. One is that information is moving around in batch processes such that it actually ends up going at the speed of the post office, even though paradoxically the post office is moving something physical and the financial system is generally not. Yeah. So it's in some ways even worse performance than the post office. There's at least a reason why it takes 2 days. There is no necessarily physical limitations on how information should move. There's regulatory limitations.
Thanks again, Chad and Donnell. That was brilliant. So we can see clearly that Paxos has the ability to, or are actually regulated in New York, and for the dollar around the world, it could be Paxos could be accepted as good as the US dollar. Oh yeah, real quick, before I forget, the link for the Stellar video is in the description. Check out that link, like and subscribe for Stellar. Back over to, because they're regulated and they're backed, and you have banks and big businesses, big companies using Paxos. And really, Paxos's vision of tokenizing the $700 trillion worth of value with derivatives and commodities and so on and so forth. I believe it's 1.5 quadrillion. Again, that could half, that could double. That's just how it is. But I think Paxos is a good fit for Stellar, because Stellar, with its new smart contracts, Saraban, it's going to take over the smart contracts theme. Anyway, in any case, I'm Nathan, aka Nathan of Zion. Smash the Zion coin up there. Check out the next video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day now.